This episode features Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin, who is the former WBO middleweight champion of the world, was featured on the Netflix documentary Counterpunch, um, and is a very interesting dude, and we had a lot of fun talking to him. And what do you think, Jeremy?
I think we need to jump right into it.
Welcome to the champ and the chump.
And who's the chump?
You.
Me. Welcome to our show, people. Grimsley.
What's up, man?
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
How you doing?
¿Qué pasa, chico? ¿Cómo está?
Nada, tranquilo, ahí en mi casa. Paso tiempo ahí con mi familia.
Oh, shit.
¿Dónde vivo? ¿Dónde vivo usted? ¿Usted en Nueva York?
Ahí en New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
All right.
Bueno, que sí.
You guys just lost the whole audience.
Yes. So
How you doing, brother? Good to see. Good to see. Good to meet you.
Good, man. Good to meet you as well, man. I was a big fan. I used to watch you as a young.
Thank you very much. That guy in the middle, he doesn't speak Spanish, so we got to speak English now.
Yes. Yes, we do. Hey, you got the professional.
That guy, man.
Peter got the thing covering the mic. I'm not sure what that's called, but that's good.
It's called a thing.
Did I freeze or did you guys freeze?
You froze for a
I
second.
think it was you.
I got,
All right, we're good.
I got Fios. Fios.
Oh, you got the fancy stuff.
So, how did you get the name Kid Chocolate? How'd that come about?
Then I was like in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
A Cuban and I think it was Puerto Rican was friends. They ran a gym there, and they always wanted me to come there. They used to come to the other, sometimes trainers like come and solicit other fighters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not solicited, they just came by the gym, and I just like everything about them and what they were standing for, their Latino pride and everything. And went to the gym, and they said, I told them I was Cuban. My dad was, born and raised in Cuba.
Oh.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, to be traditionally connected with other Cubans where I was from, I thought it was cool. So they was like, yeah, they started calling me Kid Chocolate, said I look like this Kid Chocolate. And for me, being from the streets, I thought they was like trying to diss me or something. But it was like an actual legend from Cuba. It was an actual
legend.
Yeah.
Legend. So let me tell you the story. I went to a boxing, I moved to New York, and I was sitting in the boxing gym. And I was going through the boxing encyclopedia, and boom, and when I opened, it was like the original Kid Chocolate. And it was like, man, I guess I'm like the second coming. That's how I started looking at myself, like it was the second coming, because he has such a big traditional story in New York. He used to fight, he fought in the Yankee stadiums and sold out Yankee stadiums. And, his story, even being from Cuba and then coming over here and being able to, become a world champion, and be a fighter and be fighting with a story like when you get a Cuban fighter, you get a political story, you know what I'm saying? So, I came in the game, people don't understand my political story with my father. I actually have brothers and sisters living in Cuba.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful. Have you been to Cuba yet?
Yes, I've been to Cuba. I met my family, seeing myself being there, made me liberated with my life of being able to know what American opportunity looked like I'm a first generation Cuban from my father.
And your mother is
beautiful.
From south side of Chicago.
That's almost like Cuba.
Yeah. But my dad's story actually get into Chicago actually is crazy, because I actually thought my dad had family in Cuba, but what happened was he came here to the United States with his brother, and they was on a ship. My dad said it was on, they went to Miami for a little while, and then they was like going to other places. Like they had to figure out where they was going. It was a family that took my dad in off the boat, and he left his brother. So I never knew I had an uncle living in the United States, know nothing about him. But my dad came in this country with like an adopted family. Came in, he was end up in Southside Chicago. Met my mom in a topless bar in Chicago, Illinois. And now in 1983, Pete was born, Kid Chocolate.
There we go. So
the boxing world was blessed with a great fighter and a good person, it seems like.
There we go. So when you fought Winky, that was a Cuban flag you had on the back of your head, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had Winky on here, man, and I will say you were probably the only fighter I could think of that really beat Winky without any question. The only one. I feel like that's a huge accomplishment.
And thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you were able to, he has this shit covering, and you were able to just go through those. You know,
Yeah, but what I would just tell you is like, can you imagine watching a fighter and seeing these guys on TV and then actually fighting a guy?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That it was like crazy for me. So going through and then he incorporated Layla Ali. You know what I mean? And it was going
Yeah.
back and forth. He called me like a nobody and everything, and try to diss me, and I felt very disrespected because like I don't even know her. You know what I mean? I never talked to her. She never met me. You know what I mean? But I'm grateful to see whatever the story she created for boxing. But I was creating my story at that time, and that's all I was invested in. So I took it to disrespect, and I feel like I'm a big fan of Tito Trinidad. Was one of my favorite fighters, and
Beautiful.
I feel like I made the motivation for that fight is me getting revenge for Tito Trinidad.
um, a lot of
Well, I happen to be I happen to know Layla Ali, and she's a beautiful woman and a great person. So being called her, I know the disrespect that you're talking about. But if there's somebody to be, she's a great person, man. She doesn't have no. She's a lot like her father, but not her father.
Amen. Well, I don't have nothing bad to say about her. I just didn't like how he was trying to like traditionally call me.
No,
Like every fighter is respect, even her. So
of course.
do
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
This is a very great time for us to help women be in places where they don't never get the opportunity to do. So I believe that every woman should be uplifted, and we only should protect and serve our women more.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely.
I have a daughter.
So tell me, how many fights did you have on that Prime Boxing?
Premier champions.
I'm sorry, yeah, Premier Boxing. Yeah.
Premier champion. I wanted to say 4, but I can't be able to go. If y'all would have gave me opportunity with questions y'all was going to ask me, I would have went back and said, but I honestly
Yeah, don't worry.
don't remember a lot of my fights.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. A lot.
I got 37 fights, and a lot of them I got every like a different experience and a different story in my journey with those fights, but they important. And I know what the biggest part of my career has had premier boxing champions in my life and being able to feel secure with the money I make.
Yeah, man.
I know. I see that, but I know. I just Premier. It seemed like for a while they're holding a lot of shows and they're doing pretty good. So I just was wondering how they treated the fighters. That was my question. That was the second question from that.
I believe it's about every fighter's story and who they are as a person, what kind of decisions they made outside the ring. I think we can never blame anybody for, why we in certain places. Maybe for yelling, we didn't get certain opportunities, but sometimes, fighter, I have got a lot of opportunities, and some of those opportunities I fell short, but most importantly, I made good money with them. And I think that's most important with them. They always put themselves in a situation where they help fighters, especially like minority fighters. I mean, like fighters, black fighters. You know what I mean? This is this sport is driven by racism, man. You know what I'm saying? No matter what people,
I agree.
it's driven like Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Blacks. Blacks here in this country. Man, they all get painted to be Floyd Mayweathers. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? They want you to look like and act like Floyd Mayweather to be able to make money. You know what I'm saying? But like people like Andre Ward solidified itself, and I like to be able to see him going and get like commentary jobs. I think those, that still remain holding motivation for a lot of fighters that after their career they have these different outlets and different things like that.
Yeah,
but for us as fighters, we don't get looked at like that. Imagine just recently they're putting fighters as commentators, but in my day, like the only fighter commentator was maybe George Foreman and
Roy.
Was it Sean O'Grady? Wasn't it Sean?
Roy was doing it.
Like like a bunch of people who never fought a day in their life, telling the public who they think is winning, who they think is doing better than this and that. To me, is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if it's not a fighter critiquing a fighter, what is this? What do we need this guy?
I guess what happens is we have to look how how boxing evolved and how far, and even if it didn't evolve to a lot of people, but I would say like in the 50s when the fighters were they was the rock stars of they time. At those times, Sugar Ray Robinson, Kid Chocolate, all these guys was like superstars. And now it's just a different time, different money is generated, it's different opportunities, and now it's a lot of competition with a lot of promoters. I think that's what create the environment for us to have these fights that we want to see happen, with us a lot of political stuff. But are those not the things that's happening in the United States anyway right now, with a lot of politics?
Oh, is it?
Same thing.
Look, everything is a fucking hustle in America these days. Dude. Everything. Yeah. Everybody's grinding, trying to make it a little better, a little different, a little special. You know what I mean? And like, you look at the fighters, man. They can do so much for themselves now because of social media and the different outlets that they can do. Like when my time, we didn't have any of that. So if you didn't see me fight on USA Network, never happened. Yeah. You didn't see me fight on HBO or Showtime. And if it didn't get in the paper, it never happened, and nobody knows. Mm-hmm. But now you can promote your own stuff, and I think that are you still fighting, or are you coming to the end of your career?
I want to ask you when you being an older fighter and been through the whole ups and downs of the sport. So when did you start telling yourself when you should be retired? What does that look like for you?
I retired at 40 because I was like I lost the will to train as hard as I used to train. I've been boxing since I was 6 years old, and I retired at 40.
You also,
and it was like
at 27.
So what?
27. I remember you also took a long break off too. You've had a couple of those.
Yeah, I would take chunks off. Because I've been just doing it my whole life. Like I can't remember a time in my life when I was not boxing. So for me, retiring was I retired. Okay, I'm done. I'm like 40 years old, and then I went through a depression for about 5 or 6. Maybe 7 years. I went through a depression that I didn't even know until I came out of it that I was in prison.
What did that look like? What did that look like? What did that look like?
I cheated on my wife. I've effed up with my kids, and I spent a bunch of money on a bunch of bullshit that I didn't need, didn't want. I got divorced. I put my family in a bad situation. And then I was still looking for the celebrity of who I was as a fighter, but now I need to find a job. I made good money. I didn't make millions. I didn't make Mayweather money, so I had to get a job, and I had never done anything but box.
Can I take the story?
Yeah,
sure.
So, what I just did recently, I bought a truck. I started a trucking business here in New Jersey. And went to one of the jobs. So I get in the truck and work the truck on Friday sometimes, right? Sure. And I get in the truck, work the truck, and I go and I pull up for a job, and I'm doing picking up a bunch of skits of things. And the person that was driving the high low, you know who it was?
Who?
Bruce Sheldon. Wait, so
Bruce Sheldon?
Bruce Sheldon? Bruce Sheldon?
I got Bruce Sheldon's number right now, brother. Yes. So yeah, I got his number and everything. So talking to him, man, it's just like really a wake up for me. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm 37 years old, brother. You know what I'm saying? And when in boxing, you get a window of time to make some money. And some people do got dramatic comebacks. They do, but like me, I'm just trying to get to a place where I'm fulfilling my purpose with God. You know what I'm saying? That's more important to me than, so I think I don't want to doubt those steps and what those look like, but I would honestly say, I know it's moving in a place where I'm at peace with things. But, as far as me retiring, I haven't had a voice of God telling me it's time to retire and wrap them up. I'm just thinking, what would solidify maybe an out date for me to be retired? Or do I talk about that? Is that something that fighters shouldn't talk about? Or should you do it underneath the covers? Like, those are the things I'm asking myself right now. But to be honest with you, every man, I put good investments in certain things. You know, I went through the ups and my whole purpose with losing wasn't saying, well, don't you're gonna lose this, you're gonna lose that. I was like, no, you're gonna lose people that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And I think that's what hurt me the most.
Mm. So
Makes sense. But
you're basically not sure if you're going to retire. You're kind of seeing where it takes you, how you feel.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
you're
kind of
gonna you're gonna
doing what your hairline did.
Man, you talked to Jeremy beforehand? He always fucks with my hairline. So,
but I think this Pete, like there when that day that you by yourself decide to retire and call it a day, it's gonna be something from inside you that speaks to you. It's gonna tell you, all right, we're done. You know, maybe yeah, you take one other fight, you do this or that, but the whole thing is you're gonna find your own peace with your retirement as any athlete does with the, they only retire when they're ready. And
But
that's going to be something
is
that's
it
going to
hard
happen.
enough to maybe they say, okay, maybe you can make a situation where, or I say like, okay, I'm willing to put this plan together, a plan that I have that see if I can make this opportunity and make this type of money before I make that outlet. Is that even possible? You know, seeing what that little make something of. I don't know. But like what I'm trying to do is be the most respectful Peter I can be possibly be. You know, I got my head high. I got a lot of dignity. I think I got a big story that God has given me. I think it could bring inspiration to many people. You know, I think God got a big plan for me. So I just think it's going to be grander and bigger than boxing because boxing provides you to be a star. But after you retire, man, you know, they don't provide the opportunities and help that real fighters need. And I think maybe that's maybe something I need to tap into.
well, you
You
know,
know,
a lot of people know you from the Counterpunch documentary, right? And it portrayed you in a, you seem like a very ambitious, smart dude. You know what I mean? Like you don't seem like the kind of person who's going to have problems after boxing because you got a good head on your shoulders, and it seems like you're even looking deeper and taking yourself elevate your enlightenment higher. So that's good. Um, One thing I wanted to ask you, man, about that documentary. One of the big things was people were giving you a lot of shit for taking the money, I guess, to just take a year off. So I wanted to ask you, is that something that Al Heyman basically asked you to do, or is this something that you figured, I just won the title, I want to take some time off and chill with my family?
And then let me just say, like my wife, when I got married, you know, that's been a big decision that a lot of fighters make. And I made one of those decisions at my prime. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So I made it at the height when there's a lot of girls coming out of fighter. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So, you know, like I got married at that time and when she was pregnant with my kid and lost the kid and I was in camp. I did what I knew how to do in moments like that because a long time I know how to put myself first. And I say, listen, there's nothing I'm gonna be able to do to bring that baby back. You know what I'm saying? I put a big strain on our relationship with that. And you know what I went through with her on that, I figured like if I was ever put in a situation again where I had to pick my family, I would, and what opportunity didn't say one turn down $1.4 million and keep my dignity and keep my morals intact. Now I can give you a story about, you know, you can sell your morality and sell what's right and your real morals and your real values, and people willing to do that for short change, but I will never be shortchanged about nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very
yeah,
thankful
I get
that make these opportunities and make these real. Like I was telling my wife the other day, I say, see, moments and decisions, tough decisions, man, they affect your life. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't really question those, I don't. So I don't really study. I don't really study decisions. I study consequences. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's more important than anything.
I feel like I fought a little bit, obviously not on the level of you guys, but people to criticize you, which I feel like they should not. They don't understand how much work and not only physically but emotionally, man, it's really draining going through what you guys go through. And I feel like there is nothing wrong with taking time off and enjoying being a world champion. And I feel like anybody who criticizes is just, they just don't know. They don't,
it. They don't.
you
So
know.
you
People who
gotta
criticize, they don't know.
you gotta tell Jeremy to stop, you know, taglining on your hairline there.
This is
I don't know what that means, but okay.
um
So here's your question. Here's your question. Couple. How many fights did you not make weight for? I know you had one when you fought Lee. You didn't make weight. Or
I
was it
went
Lee?
pro. I started off as a super middleweight first, and I was really a middleweight fighting at this high weights. And I told him, I said, don't put me at no fight above 100, 167, was 170,
68.
167, 68 pounds. No, 67. I wouldn't go up to the middleweight, super middleweight at that time. And it wasn't that I was only walking like 12 pounds above my weight class, and then it made a transition where I started going up to 185 and then 195. So by the time I got to Danny Jacobs, right, I was coming down from 195. When I fought Winky and I came up a little pound, I had to take a walk. I was like, 75, at that time. That was early in my career, but I just started getting heavier, over time.
That's called growing up.
Yes. So yeah, and I didn't have a big party lifestyle, like a lot of drinking and like a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't, it's just been a big problem, I guess, like you said, growing up.
You bring up that.
It's definitely going because I fought 75 for years, and then one day I just couldn't make it no more. I was always cut back down to 75, 75, 75. Then, then you're on your off time, I'm walking around like 206. I'm like, what the hell? And then 75 is just, you never see it again. And for you, in your case, you walk around a certain way, you get comfortable, you feel good, and then you got to make the cut for the fight. And it gets hard.
Yeah.
It gets hard, man. It gets definitely difficult.
You brought up that the Daniel Jacobs fight, which I believe shouldn't have been stopped. I thought it was early stoppage. I assume you agree, right?
Well, I can tell you that, listen, man, through the will of God, I'm a big believer in God. I couldn't see things other way than it actually happened. Like God say in the Bible in Ecclesiastes 3, that it's a time and a place for everything. And everything underneath the sun shall happen at the right time. So some things are just appointed. You can't take away that. Some decisions that we make, we have to live with them. But at the end of the day, I learned a very valuable lesson in that fight. And it was probably one of the most important fights as far as purpose. What's that mean? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of fighters are forgotten after they gave the glory to the sport. They gave their lives. And we as boxers end up with the short end of the stick. You know what I'm saying? I think we should have better opportunities for, being able to be promoters or even being like, but I guess it all comes down to the person and the personality that's in the sport that we can go on and do great things. And I just want to see more stories like that in boxing.
What was the lesson you learned from that fight?
I learned that, what I'm saying, that all the people, the actual belief that I had was like losing people around me. See people turn their face at me when they, like, could you believe this? If I actually be honest with y'all and tell y'all that, that one day before leaving Mission, because I was a problem kid, as if one day I called my mom's belt, she couldn't no longer with me anymore. And I was very disrespectful as a teen. And one day I was making a decision. I used to, hustle, doing some fake hustling. I ended up getting called in a rental, like a crackhead rental, before I moved to New York and got arrested by the police. They dropped me off at my house, and my mom had to see me restart. She said that one day, she said, you ain't gonna never be shit, right? And I said, one day I want to be something. I'm gonna buy you a house in cash. And guess what? I kept my word. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I could tell you that, going through a challenge where you're the only one that made it in your family, so I think that was a harder thing to go through, because then you want your brothers and your family to feel just as important as you. And, everybody's fighting for your attention. Everybody's fighting for your love. And, the girls, and let's not go there with the girls, bro, because it'd be all day we'd be talking about it. You know what I'm saying? But like, altogether, I just learned real purpose in life. And, I found out that your job may never have your purpose in it.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I got a lot of brothers. I got a lot of them. First and foremost, my dad is a father of 8 kids, 7 boys, 1 girl, with 4 different 2 wives, 1 being in Cuba and 1 United States, and being my mother. My mother got 3 kids with my father and one kid with another relationship. So that's already up to 9 kids. But I was raised with other people's kids that my dad used to be cheating on my mother with these other ladies. And I know this lady, and I seen her take her last breaths. I was in the decision to pull her off the plug, but that she grew up as my mother, as my dad's mistress. You know what I'm saying? And she was like a great lady to me. So, I grew up with more brothers growing up with her children. So it's like 13 of us. You know what I'm saying? So like by blood, it's 9 of us.
Wow.
Wow.
Nine siblings I got.
Were you close to, or were you close to the Mayweather family? Because I guess they live right down the block, right?
Yeah, my brother and them have more, my brother's older than me. He had more, he's friends with their family still to this day. But I was a younger kid. I was like a kid, basically didn't know nothing. I was like, my dad was a big hustler in Grand Rapids, and that's what he used to do. That's why him and my father not speaking so much noise, but like, they used to deal with each other in the streets, and that they knew each other from the streets, so they got along with each other.
Mm.
But overall, I started boxing late in my life.
How old were you?
I was like 15 years old. I walked into a boxing gym. Then my mom wasn't gonna let me box. One day I just forged her signature, and I should have to earn the money to pay for my gym dues. But then one day the owner of the gym let me train there for free, man. And I'm thankful for it, and I've still got a good relationship with him.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I mean,
That's good. It's good. It's hard to grab good relationships that last a long time.
Especially when it comes to the girls.
Yeah, you ain't tell me I've been married twice, bro.
Down from that road, but happiness is like a journey.
what would you say?
Ever changing.
What would you say of all your fights was your most gratifying?
What you mean?
Like,
more than
What fight did you get the most out of?
yeah, well, what
every fight I traditionally learned something different. No fight was the same. I can remember all glimpses of all little fights, and I'm keep those memories together. But altogether, I was just say my first 4-round fights with this dude named Thomas Padron. He was something I thought like I was. How the whole thing when you coming up in a game and then you got a manager, he's paying for these opponents, and I had an opponent, and basically I took him for granted and went the distance. And when I really looked at the other 2 guys that I fought, like these guys were like more seasoned than this guy. This guy I'm gonna take out of there, and I didn't. And that put it in my confidence a little bit as far as like, man, hold up, I didn't get him, and then I had to learn that traditionally you may have to go the distance. So that was always
you gotta fight those fights.
You gotta fight the distance. So when I got to more rounds, that's always been the pressure in my mind. I mean, I'll be able to go 6 rounds, I'll be able to go 8 rounds, then 12 rounds. Then when you get to that point, it's just like ain't no turning back.
Well, you seemed like
Get it.
you seemed like you seemed very patient. At least you seemed like you would sit there. You wouldn't expend any unnecessary energy. You know what I mean? You would throw some shots, wait to catch him, wait to hurt him, then you would open up. And that just comes from exactly what you're talking about, right? As you get the experience, you realize, oh, I can go longer. As long as I do these certain things, and just experience gives you that. You know what I mean? And it seems like you did that really well, actually.
Yeah, but when you fight, you're a fighter. I don't know, maybe Jeremy can expound on this, but when you fight people, you fight a personality. So sometimes you don't even know if certain things, the way a person fighting is ingrained in a personality. And then like when I fought Gabriel Rosado, even though I said it was still a fight because he was coming, he had something to prove. And at that point, I made myself not like him, and I put myself in there because I had this concept in my mind of like, how can you not like somebody if you're getting paid with them? You know what I'm saying? I was like, it's really business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I cannot personally not like this guy, but for some reason, he got in my head and made me believe other than what I usually believe, which is like, yo, man, you just getting paid. Some things may sound good on the microphone, but remember, don't ever sell your soul, or don't ever like say things you don't even know. Like, so I never really gave a problem. I'm gonna knock him out. I'm like, listen, I can always say what's safe is like, I'm gonna come and knock you out because that's how I was coming. I was always coming to knock somebody out. If I seen the opportunity and I smell blood, it's just I don't care. That right there was the difference to me. But I started when you get to a level where people start having influence. That's was the problem, because I kind of strayed away from the fighter I knew I wanted to be, and to grasp on that, because when I be in the gym and I felt good, I put myself in a situation where I was challenging myself, and I went through a lot of different trainers, man, and you don't hear a lot of fighters doing it. Sometimes you hear a fighter do that later in their career. I did that throughout my whole career, training the trainer. When making a decision, he ain't on board, I move on.
Mm.
Yeah, I do. I understand that because I would feel like once I've learned what this guy's trying to teach me, I gotta go. Because
Hmm.
certain trainers are good for certain things, but in my own personal opinion, no one trainer is good at everything.
But
So
I
I
know
would,
one trainer I love training with was Virgil Hunter.
Mm.
Like, if it was financially correct for me to be over there on the West Coast, and I was going to sacrifice by making a change, and kind of, because what may cost a lot of money is going to camp in places, and it got easier that I started investing in my camp around where I lived at, where I live in New Jersey, and make a gym. I go travel every day to Brooklyn. So I trained with Sosa because it was convenient, and also he's very dedicated. He got a lot of fighters right now that's making noise, little Christopher Biop, and he's dedicated. So whether I retire or not, he was a good trainer for me to work with because he's such a young, motivated trainer that young in the game, meaning like he's just making a splash to create a champion in the game and making a little noise. So I felt like having that ambition on my side was going to keep me motivated. But like I said, you go through these challenges and these moments in life. I took a loss to Angulo that wasn't expected, but I'm telling you, man, like, should I need question a lot of things. Should I move up to like heavyweight, you know what I mean? Stuff like that type of thing kind of crossed my mind. Get with a dietitian. It's a lot of stuff that after it costs a little bit of money, is even worth it. Is it even worth for me to pay for all that to see if I'm gonna get a couple dollars? You know what I'm saying?
Or are you, since I know you told me that you go to church a lot. You're really about your faith and stuff, and it seems like you've enlightened yourself, and you're kind of, since you've kind of done all that, has maybe your anger and your aggression backed off a little bit, which has maybe affected your desire to fight, or is that not the case?
I don't think I think people can always ask, like I can even ask Jeremy that. It's like, Jeremy, what was the things that you fought for? What motivated you as a fighter?
real talk. I wanted to be rich. I grew up poor, man. So I was like, I wanted to be. And rich to me was having enough money to go where I want, do what I want when I want. I did that, and I was like, I'm good.
Mm.
Like like the whole desire to be the greatest, biggest, baddest, perfect, most tough man. I could care less about all that. My thing was I grew up poor, a mixed kid in the city where at a time where black and white didn't, was just kind of coming together. Like I was the only mixed kid in my school. Like I was unique in that respect, but I was you, but I was unique in that respect. But at home we was broke, so it was kind of like I wanted to make some money.
Me and my
Because
brother, we used to share the same underwear between me and y'all. Me and my little brother.
Oh
We
wow,
shared socks, we shared the same underwear. That's how broke we was.
wow.
So
so,
my dad
so
went
for
to
me it
prison.
was like
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
not to get that with the prison. That's pretty tough. But for me, it was like I wanted to make enough money just so that if I wanted to buy a pair of gym shoes, got it. Wanted to buy, like a new shirt, I got it. So I did that, and I was like, I'm good.
Well, you
You
probably,
know,
Jeremy, right? Because as an amateur, you were like, you fucking cleaned that division out. Like people, so you probably knew early on that you were definitely gonna make some, you probably saw it coming, right? Because of your success as an amateur.
yeah, I saw that, but like I, I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be like a fireman. I wanted to be some. I wanted to do something like that as a life. A career. I didn't want to be a boxer. Boxing was the last thing I wanted to do. But it was at the time the only thing I was good at. And I was good, I was really good. So I just kinda like, okay,
Yeah,
it just kinda made me feel like, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
it was great. Jeremy taught me how to fight, man. We met in Kevin Rooney's camp in the early '90s, and he taught me everything. Kevin was too busy training other people to really pay attention. Jeremy taught me how to get every ounce of anger and every ounce of everything in each punch, and it
So
just
you know about the peekaboo, Jeremy? Then
that's what we learned up there.
Of course.
I
Yeah.
know the
Of
peekaboo.
course.
I know. I got a little the peekaboo style in my arsenal.
Mm, mm.
Okay.
It's a guy named Rafael Ramos that used to train in Castiles over there, Puerto Rican from New York, and he introduced me. A lot of people thought Mike Tyson fought with Wing Chun because of some of his moves was, from a William Chung that do a lot of like in the kind of position that Mike Tyson used to throw from. How he used to do catch a person uppercut and come up with his own uppercut and deliberately like knocked a lot of people out with the uppercut. But what I would say is like the Peekaboo style is probably one of the greatest styles, because Mike Tyson, what I'm saying, is probably one of the most talked about fighters of time, and that Peekaboo style was the master of that for him.
I feel like though it depends on, right? I think you're going to say this, right, Jeremy? For Jeremy and for myself, even it doesn't really fit everybody, especially taller fighters, right?
Not tall fighter, yeah, and that's probably why I had the problem with it, is because I was a little too tall to be fighting. So when I found that I could fight tall and I can be more in control with my height, what I'm saying, that made a big difference for me, instead of fighting, because it takes a lot of short compacting power to fight the Peekaboo style like that. And it's kind of hard to do that when your body's made different. That was a perfect style because Mike Tyson is short, and a lot of everything is explosiveness is going to work with his body. It won't be able to do that with me. That's why you seen who else fought with the Peekaboo style that was a little taller and then it didn't do too well for them.
Omar Shika, if you guys remember him.
I remember Omar Shika.
Vinny Pazienza.
Vinny didn't never use that, yeah, because Vinny was training.
He used it once.
Vinny did the movie. That's what he was in the yeah.
But he never used it.
He did a little bit. I saw him do a little bit, but it was real cheeky, man. It's all.
What about Buster Douglas?
No, I don't think Buster Douglas. Was he like 6'8"? That big old something.
But Buster Douglas Sr. used to train with Custom Model.
Did he?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. It's news to us.
So, Peter, in your career, is there a fight that you wanted specifically that could come to mind, but that you never got?
No, man, because it's hard to look at, I don't know, man. I think, man, boxing, man, like for me, it was like it was given to me by God with a big story, and to be able to help other people, especially Black people, minorities in places that feel like they can never be nothing. I just feel like, I can just give them my story. So, and on top of that, man, it's like making decisions good, the best decision. Boxing is a very lonely life. People will never understand that because you in the ring by yourself, but most importantly, when you got to make the toughest decisions, you by yourself. So I think honestly, I guess, no, I don't think like that. That's not my mindset. What motivated me? I basically, I got some little bit of money. I got a window of money, and I basically got to figure out how to keep growing on it. That's what basically where I'm at right now, and I can make a decision.
So what kind of truck did you pick up?
I bought a 26 box truck, but I own mad property. I own a building with 3 apartments in it. I own a house. I own my mother's house. I own land.
Okay, but you tell a box truck? Well, we don't understand truck language.
So basically, this what happens. Okay, so it's over 150,000 jobs on the road for drivers, and especially because of the pandemic. In March, are looking like it's going to be picking up. But like this, I just felt like driven that I was able to start another business. I started a real estate business in Michigan. It's going pretty well. But then starting this trucking business, I just felt listening to other friends that own a box truck. I said, you don't need a CDL. No, you just need a regular license. I went and got all the things to make sure my truck was up and my DOT and all this type of stuff. And I would say, well, I don't understand why more people don't do this, because there's so much money involved. And
you said you got a truck with a
box truck.
What is it?
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
General freight, general like a big U-Haul, way big.
Oh, 18-wheeler.
I would tell anybody, you want to work for yourself, man, go buy your own truck, and you're going to partner up with people. I don't even do people like working for me. All my friendships that's got me working, I work with them. They my partners. You know what I'm saying? They got a stake in the business. You know what I'm saying? So I know it wasn't a lot of time I was able to give to try to, watch your money. Because a lot of fighters, what they do, they get their money to people, and these people be thieves. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't willing, huh?
Of course I do.
So yeah. So
people giving money away. Of course, I get it.
I was taking care of my whole family, man. I was like coming off so much money. It was at the time I was paying $20,000 a month to live.
Wow.
In New York. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make a decision to be married and all that at a time where I probably should have made other decisions and see myself out of New York. I just didn't see myself out of New York at the time. So buying cars and living in New York and not even owning where I lived at. So I was happy that I bought a lot of cribs in Michigan. It was like a good decision to make.
Yeah.
It's great. It's good. You bought stuff in Grand Rapids or Detroit or
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Southfield? Okay.
Grand Rapids.
And what I would tell you is like wherever you got your money running, you probably got to be there. And I think I should probably take more trips or see more opportunities, since I don't know if I'm going to retire or not. But my wife got a good job. She works at the Today Show on NBC, so she's part of my package deal.
Oh,
a great package to have. It sounds like a great package, man.
I own a comedy club in Brooklyn, so if you ever want to come out for laughs, hit me up, man. I'll hook you up.
You teach me how to tell. I did a movie, and my acting coach thought I would be making a transition into acting. So, like, who knows, man? I'm just trying to be pulled, and the grace of God, His influence over my life will put the people I need to be around me.
Yeah, we talked to Montel Griffin, and he does stand up.
I know Montel.
Yeah, he does stand up. Yeah, Jeremy and him fought for the Olympic trials, and we don't want to bring that up because that was, but yeah, but he's
Jeremy. You know Nate Jones?
Nate Jones?
Yeah,
I think so.
From Chicago. Yeah, he's like
I think so.
Yeah, he been in my life for a long time. I know him since I was like before I even moved to New York.
How do you like New York? I know you're in Jersey, but how do you like New York?
Made me an animal, man. I don't want to play this. Yeah, New York made me, it's really like it's my second home. I actually been living in New York. I was living in New York longer than I lived in my hometown of Michigan. So I was almost like a New Yorker. I lived in Bronx. I lived in Brooklyn. I had my best times in Brooklyn. Being there, I became more independent in Brooklyn. I like the Brooklyn.
That's where that nappy head monkey is, in Brooklyn.
What part of Brooklyn you live in?
And I lived in the bed. I lived in the Sty on near Classen and Fulton. Okay. I also lived in Fort Greene. So a lot of my influence come from Fort Greene projects right there.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, me and my boy Vito, he the one that partnered up with me with the trucking. So that's we do the trucking together.
In Fort Greene. All right.
You got one truck in your fleet right now?
Yeah, one truck.
Okay. Beautiful. They're expensive too, man.
Did you see or did you watch the Tyson Roy Jones fight?
Nah.
That was awesome. I watched it the next day on YouTube. I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever, man.
But listen, it's entertainment. That's all. So you got to respect it and just keep it moving.
I do.
They might be calling you Jeremy soon. Like, you want to fight Logan Paul?
They bet not call me. I know karate.
I would say, listen, bro.
It's freezing up.
Yeah, DJ Freestyle.
He froze. You froze, Peter. Damn.
Peter, you froze. Froze.
A lot of money, man. 20 million.
You froze that whole time. We heard nothing you said.
I said 20 million.
For what?
You know what I'm saying?
For what?
You generate that kid generate a lot of money.
Which one?
Who?
Jake Paul, Logan Paul, these little generate a lot.
Would you fight?
They brought a lot of audience.
I would fight one of them jokers. No problem.
Yeah.
Peter, would you fight one of them?
Me?
No, Peter.
I mean, I would do it just because it would be entertaining for people to see it. You know what I'm saying?
You would do it.
It'd be so much fun.
That's what I would do.
It would be so much fun.
I wish you would, because these guys are fighting people who are making them look good, and if they get in there with a real fighter, they're finished.
Fighting athletes though, that's the problem. It's like he fought an athlete. By him having an athlete on his record, that right there has put a stain in the game. But let me tell you something, brother. Boxing is not like no other sport in the history of the world.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? You can't play boxing, brother.
oh man, you would
Exactly.
destroy that either of those dudes, but I don't think they would want to fuck with mess with somebody like you.
At that point, it's just like, man, at that point, I just have to say I'm done with boxing if I have to go that route to make some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, man, you know
But
what?
it would be like having lunch with a couple friends. That's how easy that would be for you, or for me.
You know, he I guess what he's doing right now, he's being entertainment to draw a big name to make you mega money. You know what I'm saying? If you get a big name and if anybody does that, it's just so disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got a lot of fighters that he can actually fight to put the money in their pockets, who dad was in the gym with him every day. You gonna be a champion. That's all you're gonna be. You know, it's life got to pay somehow. You know what I'm saying? So all those guys getting surpassed to make no money in their career and end up with nothing. So I think it's just disrespectful that people can come and watch boxing and not support the sport like they supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff like that going on, but you know, it is what it is. Things get a little hairy. Things get easy. You gotta go with the go with the go with the flow in life, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like act like I'm sick or something. What the heck? Anyways,
Not that Rona, is it?
Yep.
no. It's water, man. Water. I own a security company, right? And I got guys that work, and we do corona tests for people. And so every time I go around, I get checked to 8 minutes. Take the test. It takes 8 minutes. I've been tested 50 times.
Oh, you've been taking it that much?
Not 40.
Yeah, I got
But every time I come back clean.
Yeah,
Now I'm flying there. I'm flying this week to New York, so I had to take a test the other day. Again, negative.
Yeah, they were saying that they didn't report all the numbers in New York. A lot of people in nursing homes died and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
A lot of people
Whatever
also
it
moved
is.
out of New York City.
yeah, I know, man. Hopefully this vaccine gets out quickly and we could just move on. I never want to see another mask again as long as I live.
It's gonna be a long
Me
time before we
too.
live that day again.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes, we're gonna be that for a while.
Well,
People ain't gonna be feeling coming. If you really notice, how many times have you seen those like documentaries or those like news, like a clip of a news in China, and they was wearing masks all the time?
yeah.
They was wearing masks all the time.
Yeah.
That's what's going down in America.
Yeah.
But dude, look, think about this. They don't even use cash in China. They use debit card. No more. They're not making any money. Everybody's using cards now. Forever. It's crazy. I don't want. I like having stacks. That's me. You know what I mean? They're like
But you know what happened?
Hong Kong.
If you think
What's
about
that?
it, they just took away what it is. So like paper, right? People work all their
Yep.
life to get the paper money, but if you put fire to money, right? Then you burn the money up. But right now they're making it so they can just make one swipe. Your stuff is gone.
So easy to swipe though, man. I'm telling you, it's too easy. It's too easy to swipe. It's like not even spending money. You swipe a card, that's $50. Swipe it again, $200. Swipe it again. At the end of the week, you spent like $900 on nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
do me a favor then, and when you get the chance, I want you to text me, bro, and tell me how many countries in the world, in the whole wide world, are communist countries.
how many communist countries are there in the world?
In the world, yes.
I don't know.
You see how most of their systems are set up. It's set up like that in China.
My mother's from a communist country, so there we go.
Cuba.
Huh?
Where?
She's from Bulgaria, my mother.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
What you got? You got Cuba. You
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, yeah.
got Bulgaria. Well, it's not communist anymore, is it?
I don't.
It's
Maybe
like socialist.
Social. I know
The socialist, all those terms are basically the same thing, come from the same idea,
what I'm
and
saying. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
So that said, is America headed the right way, or is America headed the wrong way?
man, it's headed where God wanted to go. I would tell you that.
And I ask you, look, I didn't ask you to go to church. I asked you a question about where you think America's going, where you think it's going.
I'm thinking honestly, we can all have our views of America and how divided we are as a country. But what I'm saying, though, I'd rather talk about the answers, and I believe God is the only answer, brother.
Well, we got to figure out the question first. The question is, which way is the word?
Nothing has done it. Nobody was able to get in front of the decisions I made. Everybody has that same opportunity. I think everybody should have the right to execute their own opportunities by their own decisions. And yes, I think more Black people should have the opportunities to be in certain places that you see more white people in. But me as a believer, I believe that internally it was real big issues within the Black community that we need to fix, and not expect other people to come in and spill into us. We need to get ourselves together internally and build and buy and build our own businesses and spend our own money with our own people, and then get to the point where our money rights will bring us equal to other people in the world. But that's just my political idea. But political ideas is going to be different. That's why it's not good to talk about it, because mine's come from a belief in God. You know what I'm saying? So
Nothing wrong with that, brother. I ain't got no problem with that. And
look,
what you say sounds really good. I'm cool with that.
yep.
For
Look,
sure.
it was great talking to you. If you decide to fight again, please let us know. We'll have you back on. We'll talk about it. It's gonna be excited. Um, you
I would
know,
love to see you fight again. You fight. You pretty damn classic.
I
Like it.
appreciate that, brother.
yeah, it was really good talking to you, man. Thank you for taking the time. Let's do it again.
Yes.
All right.
Have a
Peace.
good day, man.
Do this real quick though. You got to do this. You got to go way back there. God bless.
All right. Later, man.
Oh, man.